You were never meant to feel this numb, but you do. And not because you're broken, but because you've been detuned. From the moment you wake up, your body is hit with signals, visible and invisible, loud and subtle. Wi-Fi waves pulsing through walls, news headlines screaming urgency, music engineered for hooks, not harmony. The more connected your world becomes, the more disconnected your inner self feels. That's not an accident. This is frequency control, and it's the most underestimated form of manipulation in human history, because it doesn't shout, it hums. And if you don't know how to hear it, you won't even know it's happening. Every system you interact with, your phone, your apps, your content feed, is calibrated to grab your attention and hold it in a narrow band of frequency, not just emotionally, but energetically. The result? A mind that can't settle, a body that can't rest, and a soul that forgets how to feel. Ancient tradition spoke of attunement, aligning with the frequency of the earth, the cosmos, the divine. But today, your nervous system is attuned to dopamine hits, noise loops, and artificial light. And yet you wonder why clarity feels so far away. When your natural state is stillness, but everything around you vibrates with interference, your signal gets scrambled, and eventually, you mistake static for truth. Here's the scary part. The system knows this. It feeds off your confusion. Because a person who's out of sync with themselves becomes easy to guide, not through force, but frequency. But there's one thing the system can't replicate: resonance. And that's what we'll start to remember.
They've taught you to fear silence, not because it's dangerous, but because in silence, your real frequency starts to emerge. And if you ever heard it clearly, you might start asking the wrong questions. That's why the noise is constant. Social media isn't just distraction. It's resonance distortion. Every scroll, every notification, every viral sound is a ripple that drags you slightly off your natural rhythm. You open your phone to check one thing. 20 minutes later, you've consumed 50 things you didn't ask for. Your nervous system feels fried, your thoughts scattered, and you call that normal. But that's not normal. That's interference, and the system wants you to stay in it, because the more fragmented your attention becomes, the less likely you are to feel that something's wrong, that your body isn't supposed to vibrate at this pace, that your breath isn't supposed to be this shallow, that your dreams weren't supposed to be this quiet. Here's the truth they don't say. Frequency isn't just external, it's internal. Your heart has a measurable electromagnetic field. Your brain pulses in waves. Your cells communicate through vibration. You are a symphony, and when that symphony is forced to play out of tune long enough, eventually you forget what harmony felt like. And when you forget what harmony is, you stop looking for it. But there's a reason certain moments make you feel something ancient, like when you hear a note that gives you chills, or stand in nature and feel a strange calm, or meet someone whose presence feels real. That's not magic, that's coherence. That's your original signal remembering itself. And the more you recognize that feeling, the harder it is for the system to keep you numb. But recognition is just the first step. The next is recalibration. Your body is always listening, not just to words or images, but to the frequencies beneath them. That's why some music heals you, and some leaves you anxious. Why some spaces feel peaceful the moment you enter, and others drain you silently. Your nervous system speaks a language most minds forgot: vibration. But here's the twist: the system hasn't forgotten. It speaks that language fluently. That's why modern entertainment isn't just designed for attention, it's tuned for compliance. Mainstream music, especially the most mass-produced hits, are calibrated at frequencies that stimulate agitation, restlessness, and emotional volatility. It's subtle, but powerful, because the more emotionally unstable you feel, the more you consume. It becomes a loop. You feel unsettled, so you seek stimulation. The stimulation increases your inner noise. The noise deepens your disconnection. The disconnection leaves you vulnerable. And in that vulnerability, you become programmable. Ask yourself, why is it so hard to sit in silence? Because silence doesn't just remove distractions. It reveals how far you've drifted from your natural rhythm. And that's uncomfortable at first, but it's also the doorway back. Recalibration starts in stillness, when you unplug, when you turn down the artificial frequencies. When you let your breath slow down, not for performance, not for a trend, but because your system is begging for homeostasis. That's when your signal begins to return. The system wants you busy, buzzing, addicted to low resonance, but you were designed for coherence. And once you remember that, their grip weakens. The frequencies that surround you shape the world you experience, but the frequency you emit, that shapes the world you create, and that's where real power begins. If what you've heard so far resonates, you're only scratching the surface. This is episode 2 of a 7-part series revealing the hidden mechanisms shaping your reality. Subscribe now so you don't miss what comes next, especially the truths they've tried hardest to keep from you. They tell you to stay informed, but what they really mean is stay entrained, because once you understand how entrainment works, you see the trap. Entrainment is the tendency for systems to sync up with dominant frequencies. Put a weak signal near a strong one, and the weak adjusts. That's not just physics. That's how media works. That's how trends spread. That's how minds are molded. You see it in crowds. One person panics, and soon everyone does. One opinion dominates, and soon everyone echoes it. This isn't thought. This is frequency contagion, and it's been weaponized. Everything from your morning news feed to your evening binge watch is part of a massive entrainment engine. It sets your tone, your energy, your emotional baseline. You're not having a bad day. You're swimming in low-vibe data, and your nervous system is absorbing it. Now imagine doing that every day, for years, and still wondering why your creativity feels blocked, why your inner voice feels faint, why your purpose feels lost. Because when your frequency is off, you can't receive truth. You can only react to noise. And that's the system's goal, to keep you reactive. Because a reactive human is predictable. A predictable human is easy to sell, control, and redirect. But once you start observing instead of absorbing, everything shifts. You realize not every emotion you feel is yours. Not every thought you think originated from you. And not every belief you hold is based on truth. Once you reclaim your frequency, the programming starts to break. And in that space, you begin to remember something ancient, something real. There's a reason ancient traditions prioritize frequency long before modern science caught up. Chants, mantras, drums, singing bowls, these weren't rituals for show. They were tools, technologies, designed to tune the human system into harmony with the cosmos. Back then, the goal wasn't entertainment, it was alignment. But in today's world, alignment is dangerous, because a person in alignment is hard to manipulate. That's why the system floods your field with dissonance. From chaotic headlines to synthetic sounds, the noise isn't accidental, it's strategic. It's there to keep you spinning, seeking, distracted. And if you've ever felt like the world is getting louder, you're right. It is, because silence, stillness, sovereignty, they're contagious too. That's what they're afraid of. See, when you recalibrate your inner frequency, you don't just change your perception, you change your field. Your presence begins to affect others. People around you feel calmer, clearer, more real. You become a tuning fork for truth, and the system, it can't survive in a field of truth. They've built an entire reality around distortion. But your power comes from coherence. So the question is, will you continue syncing with the system's frequency? Or start broadcasting your own? That's the edge where your transformation begins, not in fighting the noise, but in remembering the original sound beneath it all. The one that never needed fixing, only remembering. The system doesn't need to chain you to control you. It only needs to detune you. Because once your inner signal is buried under layers of noise, your truth, your purpose, your memory of what you are, all of it gets scrambled. And you start to believe that confusion is normal, that numbness is safety, that distraction is life. But deep down, you remember differently. You remember a time, maybe not in this life, when your energy flowed freely, when your mind was still your own, when you didn't need caffeine to feel awake, or screens to feel connected. That memory isn't fiction, it's a signal, faint but constant, waiting for you to tune back in. And that's what this journey is really about. Not escape, not rebellion, but realignment. You are not broken, you are mistuned. And as you recalibrate, breath by breath, choice by choice, you begin to override the programming.
Not by force, but by frequency. Not by fighting the system, but by becoming immune to it. Because what the system fears most is a human who remembers their original signal. In episode 1, you learned how thought itself was weaponized to limit your perception. If you haven't seen that yet, go back. It's not optional, it's foundational. And in the next episode, we go deeper. We move from thought and frequency to form. Because your body, it's not just biology, it's a receiver. And what it's designed to receive will change everything you thought you knew about being human. See you in episode 3.